Good evening, everybody. It's Thursday night. We are 5 hours away from the finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I am here for the pre-game show. Pre-game show. That's somebody else's line. The pre-show here. So, come on in, have a seat, join me, and let's see what we've got going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, tonight we're going to cover some news. We're going to cover what the open questions are pertaining to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and answer any questions you guys have. So if you're joining me, I appreciate it, and we're going to get things started. As usual, I'm going to throw the spoiler sign up just in case anybody is going to pop on. In case somebody hasn't seen up through episode 5, I can give you hints and stuff on episode 6, but it's not technically spoilers, because I don't know for sure. But before we get into that, we're going to get into some news. There's been a lot of interesting news with the MCU, covering a lot of the different shows, and we're going to start off with Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe, like Alfred Molina earlier in the week, didn't seem to get the memo that you're not supposed to talk about the MCU. It's like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. Well, he told a radio reporter this week that he will be playing Zeus. That's right, Zeus in the Marvel Universe. Zeus does exist in the Marvel Universe. I hope that's not the outfit they give him. I don't think we need an open chest thing on Russell Crowe, at least not nowadays. But Zeus is, of course, makes a lot of sense in the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder movie, because the villain in it is Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale. And with the name like the God Butcher, you're going to figure he needs some gods to butcher. And Zeus is a prominent god that Gore could go after, or he could be announcing working with Thor. But if you're going to break into the Greek pantheon, so far the Marvel Universe has only really touched on the Norse one. Well, if we're going to break into the Greek pantheon, then there's a couple other characters in the Marvel Universe that would love to see jump into the MCU. The first one is Ares. Ares is part of the Avengers, also the Dark Avengers. He would be a fascinating character, and there's this thing going on between the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers that they're building this other team with Thunderbolt Ross, and there's a lot of speculation that we're going to end up with the Taskmaster and U.S. Agent and all these other characters on the team. And Ares would be a perfect fit for that. So if you're bringing Zeus into the MCU, then you are kind of opening the door to the Greek pantheon. And Ares is, of course, the god of war in the Greek pantheon. Also, another major Marvel comic character from the Greek pantheon is Hercules. Now, Hercules has been a character in the MCU for a long time. He's played opposite of Thor. He's been an Avenger. He's been a Defender, I believe, a champion when there was a Champions. He's been around for a lot of years, and it would make a lot of sense to bring him into the MCU, especially there might come to a point where Chris Hemsworth wants to move on, and you bring in a character like Hercules to kind of fill that Thor spot. So Ares or Hercules would take that place. Now, there's been no mention of their casting of these characters or anything like that. It's all speculation at this point. But since Russell Crowe has come out and said he is playing Zeus, you have to kind of keep these characters in mind going forward. Now, other big news has to do with one of the series in production. And it's not really filming yet, but it's starting to build its cast, and that is Marvel's Secret Invasion. Now, in the comics, Secret Invasion is all about how the Skrulls have infiltrated humanity, and a lot of the characters that we've known for years are actually Skrulls. Now, that's in the Marvel comics, the Skrulls are kind of bad guys. They're always portrayed as bad guys. Here, since Captain Marvel, they're more portrayed as refugees and good guys. And Ben Mendelsohn's character of Talos has actually filled in for Nick Fury. So I'm not sure exactly how they plan on working the Secret Invasion, but we know that Samuel L. Jackson is going to be. This is going to be a series for Disney Plus. It'll have Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. It'll have Ben Mendelsohn as either Nick Fury or Talos, depending on the shape he's in. And also, we know that Kingsley Ben-Adir is been cast as a villain. Don't know which villain. Don't know what he's going to play, but that's what we've heard so far. Well, this week we've heard they're adding some royalty. First up, Olivia Coleman. Olivia has been getting rave reviews for everything she's doing lately. She was in Broadchurch, was the first place I noticed her, opposite of David Tennant. And then also she was in Murder on the Orient Express, which is probably my favorite movie of 2019. But she's also in the Crown, where she plays the Queen. So she's an award-winning actress, and she has been cast. Along with Olivia Coleman, they've also brought in the mother of dragons herself, Emilia Clarke. Now, there's been some speculation on Clarke, who she could play. The name Abigail Brand comes up, who's a major character in the Secret Invasion storyline. Also, Jessica Drew is a big part of the Secret Invasion storyline. Jessica Drew, of course, being Spider-Woman. Now, I'm not sure who has the rights to Spider-Woman at this point. Does she belong to Sony as part of Spider-Man, or is she separate? Don't know. I've never heard of Sony trying to put together a Spider-Woman movie, where they have talked about Spider-Gwen and Silver Sable and Black Cat and all these other characters, but you would think Spider-Woman would be high on their list. Drew has been played lately with a British accent in the comics, so Clarke would make a lot of sense. And yeah, we're used to seeing her as a blonde in Game of Thrones, but as you can see, her natural hair color here and also in the Solo movie. It would be interesting to see her come into the MCU. And could she be Jessica Drew? Could she be Abigail Brand? It's possible. We don't know, but let's just, put that on the back burner for now and see how that develops. Another thing we got this week was the trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, I'm still working on the pronunciation. I grew up with it being Shang-Chi, but according to Simu Liu, the actor who plays the character, and also when Kevin Feige announced it, he pronounced it Shang-Chi. So I'm going to do my best to pronounce it that way until I hear otherwise. So Shang-Chi. And in the trailer, we saw a lot of neat stuff. We saw the introduction of Wen Wu, who was supposed to be the Mandarin. We saw Shang-Chi in action. We saw Awkwafina's character of Katie. I mean, we saw a lot of great stuff. We also saw an interesting scene of a woman in green and yellow fighting what appears to be a younger version of the Mandarin. You can tell because he's got the rings on his arms. And in the trailer, the 10 rings are armbands, not finger rings, which makes sense. We just had the Infinity Gauntlet with the... I like the change. It also makes a lot more sense for martial arts for them to be bands. But this character here, we weren't exactly sure who she was. And there's a couple characters we didn't match up to the casting. Well, a Funko Pop release has been shown, and this character equates to, according to Funko, the character of Zhang Li, who is being played by Fala Chen. Now, who Zhang Li is, we don't know yet. You look at the color scheme, and there's two possibilities. This could be a previous version of the Iron Fist, and this also could be the character of the Cursed Lotus from the Shang-Chi comics. Going to be interesting to see who, but we're not sure yet. Now, there's another actress in the series, Michelle Yeoh, who are supposed to be in the movie, that we didn't see in the trailer. And a lot of people thought, well, this is probably Michelle Yeoh. Michelle's known for doing a lot of wire work and this type of fighting we saw in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, stuff like that. But since this is actually supposed to be Fa La Chen, there is one other character who we don't know who there is playing them, and that is Death Dealer. Now, when I first saw the trailer, and I mentioned this the other day, this character struck me as possibly being female. The build is a little slight, the clothing looks padded, and the face mask and everything, it just struck me that this could be a female character. And then, of course, when you find out we haven't seen Michelle Yeoh's character, we don't know who it is, suddenly I'm thinking that this is Michelle Yeoh's character. Now, I'm not 100% sure. It's just kind of following my instincts and the way the costume looks and how covered it is. And also, we know that Yeoh is supposed to be playing a character named, I have it here in my notes, Zhang Nan. But there's no history of Zhang Nan. And also, there's a chance, I mean, she's supposed to be training Shang-Chi when he's younger. So I'm thinking it's going to be a somewhat older, more mature actress, which Yeoh is, and would be a contemporary of Tony Leung, who's playing Wenwu, the Mandarin. So I'm thinking that's Michelle Yeoh there, and that she could possibly be either the mother of Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi's sister, Xiling. Just throwing that out there. All right. So that's covering the news. We're going to get now into really prepping for tonight's episode is going to be kind of weird. It's more about what questions are left to be answered. And I see about 10 questions that really need to be answered here. So let's go through those. And the first up has to be, what is up with Sharon Carter? I mean, it's like they want us to think she's the power broker, but I've been thinking she's been working with the Flag Smashers all along. Then we see she hires Batroc to go to work with the Flag Smashers. Batroc wants to kill Sam, and we find out that she's the one that originally hired Batroc to go after the guy that Sam had to rescue. There's just a lot of stuff going on here. And the problem is that it really could be any direction. We don't have enough information to even hazard a good guess. Could she have absolutely broke bad? Yes. There is no, I mean, we've seen villains created with less reason. She's been betrayed by her country, betrayed by someone she honored. Hello, Mateo. How you doing? So she could be bad, or she could be a double agent. She could be working for other people. She could be, I mean, it is absolutely any direction they could go with this character. So what's it going to be? We don't know. I don't think she's the power broker, and that's something they've tried to set up. I do think she might be working with the power broker, as a double agent. There's just, it's kind of hard to figure out. She's all over the place. Why would she be going after Sam? Why would she want Sam dead? Why would she hire somebody, to help the Flag Smashers? Because the power broker is supposed to be angry at the Flag Smashers. I think she told the Flag Smashers about Nagel and is how they found out and got the serum and everything else, but far, far too much stuff going on here. Now, if she's not the power broker, what is her deal? And then who is the power broker? That's the big question. Now, I've given my speculation before that I thought if we got this far and we didn't get to meet someone who was the power broker, that it was going to be somebody we've already met, like Arnim Zola, Red Skull, the leader, just someone that would make sense. Thunderbolt Ross is a popular opinion out there. I don't agree. I don't think it makes sense for him. I don't think Zemo makes sense because of what Zemo believes in. But Zola makes a lot of sense to me. But the fact that they actually took the time to drop the Shang-Chi trailer this week, a few days before the finale, and there looks like scenes in the trailer that take place in Madripoor. There's even some similar music. There is a possibility that the power broker could be working for, or even could be, the Mandarin. I mean, it would make sense. Now, it would be an interesting way to introduce the character to people who are watching the series, to get them interested for Shang-Chi. And also, it would make a lot of sense for him to be running a place like Madripoor. Or it could be one of the 10 rings, because besides... this is, Mateo, this is going to be... says, you talking only for me, or are you recording this for video? This is going live to Twitter, or to Twitch, to YouTube, also to Facebook, and then it's recorded and will be up available on all those things afterwards as well. So some people come in live, they pop in on and off, and other people, they just join in, or they catch it later on. And I'll have an announcement in about a week or so that this will also be playing somewhere else soon too. So it is, I do it live, but then it's recorded and shown elsewhere. So I'm thinking the Mandarin's a possibility. Do I love the idea? No, I still think it needs to be somebody we've already met. And I still, and I don't think it's going to be anymore, but I still want Arnim Zola. I want that big robotic body with the television set thing in the middle. That's who I want. Okay, so that aside, the biggest question outside of what's up with Sharon and who's the power broker has got to be, will Sam end up with the shield? And it's got to be yes, because this whole series has been building towards Sam getting the shield, Sam believing he's worthy of the shield, him believing that anybody else should even have the shield. The introduction of Isaiah, introduction of John Walker, all of this stuff has been going for... Oh, you're not bothering, Mateo. You can throw any questions you want. So, yeah, Sam's got to end up with the shield at the end of this. That's the only thing that really makes sense. And it is, he does end up Captain America in the comics, but so does Bucky. So there was always that open thing. But I think with the tone, the topics and stuff that they've been dealing with in the series leads it to be, it's got to be Sam. He's got, and they've shown, especially in the last couple episodes, that he is the right choice to be Captain America after Steve. I mean, Steve is still the best choice. And if Steve suddenly got de-aged and wanted the shield back, I think Sam would just hold it up to him, go, here you go, it's all yours. But without Steve, Sam is the perfect choice. And I think that's what this whole series has been about, is convincing not the viewers, but convincing Sam. So absolutely appreciate that they took the time to do this story. And I think that's how we're going to end up. We're going to end up with Sam in a Wakandan-built red, white, and blue themed wingsuit where the shield fits on his back, or, it just fits into the costume. Yeah, that's absolutely how I think it's going to go. And I think it's the right move. I think it's what this whole thing has been building towards. Now, if that's answered, what happens to Carly and the Flag Smashers? Can they end up being alive at the end of this? I mean, they're all super soldiers. There was 8 originally. We've lost 2. So there's still 6. I don't think we can end up with 6 super soldiers out there. Carly has definitely gone over the line with her actions, blowing up the depot, the sending everybody in to kill John Walker. Yeah, that was way over the top. The only one who's shown any form of hesitation or remorse has been Dovich, the one played by Derek Cham. I would love to see a redemption arc for Dovich. If any of them were going to survive, I'm hoping it's him. I'd like to see him rehabilitated, maybe turned into a hero of sorts, or somehow his story continues. I think Carly is too far gone, but I could see Marvel using her in other ways. If they are trying to follow along with this Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts thing, they could use her for that. But the fact that they're working with Batroc now, and Batroc's kind of funny because we find out in Captain America and the Winter Soldier that he was hired or supposedly hired by Nick Fury. Now, it's Alexander Pierce telling us that, but it makes sense that that to give a reason for Captain America to end up on that boat. It makes sense. So he's hired by Fury, supposedly. He's hired by Sharon Carter twice. Maybe he's not a bad guy. Maybe he just picks the wrong bosses. But I think Batroc is here to get his butt kicked by Sam, because we saw Cap beat him, and then we saw the two of them, Sam and Batroc, fight at the beginning of the series, and where Sam was able to rescue the guy, he wasn't really able to beat Batroc. He was just able to kind of, stand his or keep at it long enough to win, but he didn't beat him in a fight, like squared up. So maybe that's what this is supposed to be, so we can see Sam clearly beat Batroc. I think there's a good chance that all the Flag Smashers end up dead. I do have a preference that Dovich lives. I don't think the other 4, we barely know the names of them. I don't think they're going to stick around. Carly and Dovich are probably the only ones and that might stick around. We'll have to see. Now, once Carly's taken care of, then we got to talk about John Walker and his DIY shield. Now, I don't think he's going to die. But that's not to say that he's not going to appear to die. In the comics, when John Walker went too far as Captain America, and they gave the shield back to Steve Rogers, the American government, or the council that was behind him, faked his death, worked on his anger issues because of the serum, gave him a new code name, and I swear to God, they gave him the name Jack Daniels. He's already named John Walker after Johnny Walker, so he's just in the whiskey family, I guess. But they give him the name Jack Daniels, and then they put him back out there as U.S. agent. And I could see them doing something similar, especially if he sacrifices himself in a big public way and then, appears to be dead. Sam becomes the new Captain America. They take Walker, change his name and make him U.S. agent and put him as part of the new team that they're building. And it's all Contessa doing this. The Julia Louis-Dreyfus character we met last episode, I think she comes back in at the end. If she shows up at all, it's a cameo at the end, and we'll see that she's taken advantage of whatever happens to Walker and now is kind of controlling him. So all right. Mateo wants to know, can I ask you, what do you think of John Walker's fake shield? I think it's very bad because it's not made of vibranium. Absolutely. I think he's going to have a lot of problems with it because it's not made of vibranium. There's a clip in the trailer that shows him throwing it at Carly, and she just kicks it out of the way. because it's just a steel shield. There's nothing special about it. I think he made it because he probably felt incomplete without it. But the shield's, I doubt that shield's even going to make it through the episode. It's just like throwing a trash can lid at this point. There's nothing special to it. It's not going to be that protective. And it's not going to work the way the shield does. Vibranium's got some weird properties to it, the way it uses kinetic energy, and it can do things that other metals can't. So I think John's going to be very disappointed in this shield, and I don't think it's going to make it through the episode. So yeah, it's not going to function anywhere near what Cap's shield, the real Cap shield, does. Not at all. So no, I was saying, if Contessa's going to pop back up, I think it's going to be to whisk Walker away, either pulling him out of the fight or resurrecting him later on. I don't think she's going to play any bigger role than that if she does appear. Now, I think John Walker as Captain America is done at the end of this thing. He'll be back. If he's back, it's as U.S. agent, and probably under a different name. His wife won't even know he's still alive, most likely. So, again, if Contessa shows up, it'll just be near the end to pull his ass out of the fire, or in a closing credits thing. Isaiah. Now, there's a good chance that we're done with Isaiah, but I don't think we are. There's been some footage in the trailers for the series that, or maybe the woman that appears will give him vibranium to make the shield. It's possible. The problem is that vibranium is such a rare commodity, and Wakanda controls the majority of vibranium in the world, that they might be better off introducing adamantium, which is another Marvel metal that hasn't appeared in the MCU yet, which eventually will have to show up for Wolverine when he shows up. So it might be better if they gave him adamantium shield, and as opposed to the vibranium shield or a proto-type metal. Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to give him vibranium, which is something that makes Cap's shield special, and I don't think I'd want them to. But they could give him a different type of metal that would make it a better shield. So, we'll have to see how that plays out. They might give him vibranium. So, there is a scene that there's a clip in the trailer that shows Sam, which looks like he's sitting in Isaiah's backyard, and it's daytime. So I get the feeling we will go back to see Isaiah. Will he be there? I mean, Isaiah is kind of old. I could see him going back and finding out Isaiah has passed and Sam has a conversation with Eli. He could go back and have a conversation with Isaiah. He could come back and bring somebody with him, like Rhodey or very old Steve Rogers. That would be interesting. But I have a feeling we'll get an end cap to the story. We'll get a little bit more about Isaiah and somehow a little more closure on the story. I know he doesn't want his story to be told, so I think Sam will feel a need to right the wrong that's happened, and it's not an easy right to wrong, but I feel he's going to need to try to do something. So I don't think this will be like where WandaVision, a lot of the MCU stuff, we get the ending and then there's a quick out and we're going. I think they're going to take a little more time to clean up some storylines after whatever the big climax is, whatever the big fight is involving the Flag Smashers and Walker and all that. There will probably be little scenes that wrap things up for us. And I think Sam going back to Isaiah is going to be one of those scenes. Now, then that also leads us to Joaquin. Joaquin Torres now has a bag full of wings, and we know in the comics that he becomes a Falcon when Sam Wilson becomes Captain America. I don't think that'll happen here. Not to say that he might just suddenly pop up in flying wingsuit and rescue somebody in the middle of a fight. I just don't think they will. I think they'll save that for a future story that, he'll pop up somewhere, Young Avengers or, something else that we'll see him in a wingsuit. I just don't think we'll jump into that right now because that's a lot to explain, to have somebody suddenly show up in a wingsuit and, oh, it's a Torres, yay, maybe. Or maybe we get a quick flash of him, in a deserted area or in a big open field, and he's got the suit and he's testing it real quick, and he gets a little bit of flight on it and a big smile on his face or something. That could be a good closing to that story. I don't necessarily think he'll jump into the fight. But again, we'll see. That's just my gut feeling. Now, this is going to be the tough one. Last episode, when Sam and Bucky were throwing the shield around, Sam pretty much said that there's some people out there that are going to need closure, and you need to give it to them. And this is the guy. Yuri is the one everybody's thinking about. All right, Mateo, thank you for joining us. Yep. Take care, and please come back Sunday night. We'll be doing the Pop Go the Writers, where we'll break this whole thing down after the fact. So have a good evening. All right, so Yuri, this is going to be a totally heartbreaking scene, but it needs to happen. They've set it up, and it absolutely needs to happen. Now, I don't know how this goes well. They could go with the, yay, everybody's happy ending, which he comes and tells Yuri, and Yuri goes, I've known all along, but and I knew you would tell me in your own time, and I forgive you, or something like that. But that seems cheap. I think it needs to be more raw, and I think it needs to be unpleasant for Bucky, but it also needs to happen. So we'll see how this goes. But again, I think this is going to be the heartbreaking scene, or at least one of the heartbreaking scenes in the episode. So now what happens with Zemo? There's a good question. Are we done with him? Is them taking on, him taking off, or at the shrine, the Dora Milaje taking him away? Absolutely. That could be all we see of Zemo. We didn't see him in the first episode. We don't see him in the last episode. He's just in 2 through 5. Absolutely possible. Also possible we see him in a cell on the raft as Thunderbolt Ross or the Contessa walk up and start talking to him about maybe doing some work with them, or maybe putting a team together. They could absolutely do some MCU world building in an end credit scene. I don't think they'll do it during the main story. I think it might be an end credit scene. By the way, watch through all of it. We got 2 end credit scenes in WandaVision. I absolutely think we'll get an end credit scene. What it will be, I don't know. This is probably my top candidate that will get an end credit scene with Zemo somehow working with either Contessa or Thunderbolt Ross. We shall see how that works out. Then the final question we've got is, what's next? Will there be a second season? Now, we know Loki is already talking about a second season, and there's a lot of stories they could do for a second season, but no one's actually come out and said, yes, we're doing a season 2. And what would it even be titled? If they did a second season, would it be Falcon and the Winter Soldier 2? Would it be Captain America and the White Wolf? Or Falcon, the guy with 2 metal arms because Yuri cut one off? Maybe Bucky and Sarah as they run a fishing charter boat down in Louisiana. That would be a fun one. Anyway, the sign that maybe something's up, you have to submit things to the Emmy Awards in categories, and they submitted WandaVision in the limited series category. They submitted Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the drama series category, which is for ongoing series. So, will they do more of the Falcon and Winter Soldier? I think it really depends on the slate of stories going forward. Wanda was already slated to appear in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Vision is now without his emotions and white. Could they do another series with Scarlet Witch and Vision? Absolutely. It could be called The Vision and Scarlet Witch, which is what the titles of the comic was. But I doubt they'll ever do a WandaVision series again, because the name WandaVision was specifically tied to the TV trope they were using. So I don't think we'll get another WandaVision. Could we get a Scarlet Witch and Vision series, or Vision and Scarlet Witch, or Wanda and the Vision? Yes, but I don't think we'll ever get a WandaVision again. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I absolutely think we could get a second season. I think it would be insane not to. This has been so good from a dramatic point of view, from a storytelling point of view, and just hitting a lot of polarizing issues that are going on in the real world today. Things that they can't really do in a 90-minute to 2-hour time frame in a movie. And I think these two characters are a great vehicle for those kind of storytelling. And then you have all these other stories around them. So that could be great to tell. So if I had to put money down, I'd say yes. I'd put $10 down that we're going to get another Falcon and Winter Soldier series. What it will be called is anybody's guess. But I do see these two characters coming back. I know Sebastian Stan has already said he'd be up for it. I don't know why Anthony Mackie wouldn't be. And they're going to basically build him a Captain America suit. They might as well use it again, right? Because there's no movies in any of the slate that looks like they're going to show up. Maybe Black Panther 2 for Sebastian Stan. Oh, hey, Jam. How you doing? Good to see you. Richard says, are you aware they aren't fighting over 616 Shield? They broke that one. They are fighting over the one Steve stole in the multiverse. Yes, I know that they broke. They haven't said. They broke the shield and they never showed it to be repaired. But we don't know how long it was between Cap fighting Thanos and the fight with Thanos and Cap actually getting on the pad and taking all the stones back. Could Cap have gone to T'Challa and said, can you repair this for me? And got it repaired before he went back? Because I thought in the scene, he's carrying the shield when he goes back in time. Maybe I'm wrong. I will have to go back and double check that scene. But for some reason, I thought he was carrying the shield. I know he had the case and he had Thor's hammer, but I thought he had the shield. But anyway, there's debate on whether he went back and lived in our timeline or if he went back into a multiverse timeline. I mean, the writers argue with the directors from Endgame. So the sad thing is I don't know if we'll ever get an actual answer. It's been kind of vague, and they haven't come out and stated specifically what is it. So could it be one that Steve stole from the multiverse? Absolutely. Could it be one that he got repaired before he went back in time? Yep. Could it be one that who knows? I mean, they're not telling us, and the possibilities are kind of endless. There really are a lot of possible ways that they could have done it. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I don't think we're going to get an answer. I don't think they're going to tell us tonight. That's for sure. I think it's just going to be Cap's shield. Cap showed up and handed a shield to Sam. It's made of vibranium. That's all Sam seems to care about. At no point does he go, hang on a second. This was broken on the field. Don't know why Sam would sound like this. It doesn't sound like him at all. But that's just, yeah. So, yeah. Thanos definitely did break the one Cap was carrying in the fight. What happens next? I don't know. And I don't think they're going to tell us, at least not anytime soon. There's a lot of questions a lot of holes in the MCU I'd love to see them fill. I'm still one that thinks Obadiah Stane trying to kill Tony Stark didn't make a whole lot of sense to me unless he was working for Hydra or something. But neither here nor there. Yeah. So those are my basic thoughts for tonight. I think we're going to jump in action quickly. We will have a long, drawn-out fight. And then I think we're going to get little stories, little scenes to tie things up. We'll have the Yuri and Bucky scene. We'll have Sam go back and visit Isaiah one last time. I think we'll see what's going to happen to John Walker if he dies, if his death is staged, what Contessa has to do with it. We're probably going to get a end credit scene with Zemo and Thunderbolt Ross or something like that. I think we'll get a better idea of what's up with Sharon Carter. Will we get to know who the power broker is? I hope so. I really don't want it to be a witness protection program guy from WandaVision. I want an answer to that. Will it be a satisfying answer? I don't know. That's a good question. But I think it could be something tied to the Mandarin, which then makes sense why they dropped the Shang-Chi trailer just a little early. It could tie into one of old Cap's villains, either Arnim Zola or Red Skull. Hell, it could be the leader. Those are some of the guesses I've had. But hopefully we'll know by the end of the day. I really want to know who the power broker is. I want to know what's up with Sharon Carter. I think the only thing we know for sure is by the end of this, Falcon's probably going to be Captain America. So, all right. Now, before I end this, there's one other thing going on here in LA. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Somebody put up a billboard. It says, "For our beloved hero, please bring back Tony Stark." And they want to use the hashtag "Bring Back Tony Stark to Life," and they want us all to use it on 4/24. Now, unless this was put together by the Robert Downey Jr. Retirement Fund, I think this is a little over the top. I get that a lot of fans were able to do the hashtag Snyder Cut thing, and eventually that got made. But I think it made business sense for Warner Brothers to do it. Spend some money, throw it on their new streaming service and see what happens. I think if Kevin Feige wanted to bring Tony back in a story made sense, and Robert Downey Jr. wanted to come back, it would happen. I don't think a hashtag will be necessary to make it happen. Nor do I think a hashtag will make it happen if all three of those things aren't in agreement. If RDJ doesn't want to come back, it's not happening. If there isn't a good story to bring him back, I don't see it happening. His ending, his arc was too good. It was a good arc, just like Chris Evans' arc. Now, will they bring him back? It's money. It is a good possibility. If it's going to put us, fans in the seats at the movie theaters again, then there's a good chance they'll do it. But yeah, the arcs were too good. Now they could do something out of time. They could do something multiverse. They could say, between the time that Bucky died and Cap actually went into the ice, there was things he was doing, and maybe he worked with a group of heroes called the Invaders, and we get an Invaders movie, and Chris Evans comes back to play it, and it's Android Torch, and it's Namor the Submariner. We get Union Jack and some other characters, and we get a big old war epic thing. Sure. That doesn't take away from the Chris Evans story arc, the Steve Rogers story arc. I could see them doing something like that. But just to bring these characters back without it being for a good story reason, I think it would cheapen it. I think the characters had the arc they needed to have. He played Tony Stark Robert Downey Jr. played Tony Stark for 11 years, something like that. He started in 2008, last in 2019. All the different movies he was in, 3 Iron Man movies, 4 Avengers movies, a Spider-Man movie. The guy did his time, and Captain America Civil War. The guy did his time. And if he doesn't want to come back, or if they don't want to bring him back, I think they did good. So, all right, that's my last thought on that. I hope you guys all get to see the episode right away. I'm sure there's going to be spoilers online, so avoid social media before that. Yeah, Jam, I absolutely agree that RGJ could pop up in cameos. I don't think he's going to come back for like an Iron Man movie or to lead in an Avengers movie, but I could see him popping up in cameos, or maybe doing a voiceover thing, the way Paul Bettany did for Jarvis in the beginning. Maybe Ironheart ends up with a Tony Stark sounding voice for her armor, and he does the voiceover for that. That could be fun. I could see him doing something like that, because it's 1 or 2 days of ADR. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think he'll be starring in any of the movies anytime soon. Plus, we still need a third Sherlock Holmes movie from him. He and Jude Law, they're getting up there now. They got to get back in there and do it before he, I guess he could do Sherlock a lot longer than he could do Tony Stark, but yeah. Yeah, her AI. Yep, I could absolutely see him doing that. So, and again, it would be simple. He just goes into a booth, records for 2 days, and then he goes home and dresses in bunny suits and does all the stuff that he does. Have you noticed how much his life has changed? How he went from, being kind of the bad boy and the criminal, and now he's just this kooky guy we all love? I like that. I like that redemption arc in real life for him. So, all right. So anybody got any thoughts for the finale? Anything you guys are expecting to see? Any surprises you think we're going to get? I do, like I said, I think we're going to get a Zemo cameo, an end credit scene that will tie him into whatever the future plans for him. I'm not saying for sure, but that's a guess I've got. I think we'll find out. Yeah, the new RTJ is just awesome. He really is. I love how he's come back from all the adversity in his life, and he's just really become a good guy. So I'm still thinking Ross or Red Skull. Ross, I think, could show up with Zemo. Red Skull I could see as the power broker. Red Skull or Arnim Zola are my 2 guesses on that, with the leader being the really long shot. But now that they've dropped you weren't here earlier, now that they've dropped the Shang-Chi trailer, I think the Mandarin is a possibility as a power broker as well. So, Though I think he would just use the name Mandarin then. I'm now talking myself out of it. All right, guys. Big news. Our guest for Sunday night's Pop Go the Writers, just confirmed it this afternoon, is going to be Marvel Comics artist Ray Anthony Height. Ray and I go way back. I've known him probably about 30 years, and it'll be fun to have him on the show and to talk about the Captain America or the Falcon and Winter Soldier. So you guys should tune in Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific for that. I think the real Mandarin. I think we're done with the Killian thing. I think Kevin Feige has accepted that didn't go over well. So I don't think they would bring that back. Though they haven't done much with AIM. So maybe. Hadn't thought about that. Hadn't thought about Killian. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's dead. But it could be AIM. Could be MODOK. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Just a giant head in the little tiny body. I wanted that super soldier serum, damn it. But we're going to get MODOK in that animated series starting at the end of May on Hulu. That'll be fun. I saw the trailer for that, and that actually looks ridiculously funny. So I'll probably be covering some of that as well, as we're going to be in that gray area between at the end of this show next week and the start of Loki. So I'll be covering the Bad Batch some. We'll do some other kind of things as well to fill that time. And then we'll cover MODOK when that comes out. But without an actual big Marvel or DC live action show, we'll be playing it by ear for a couple weeks. So, all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for this pre-show. I am looking forward to the show. It is only 4 hours from now. Being on the West Coast, I'm lucky enough to get to stay up until midnight and watch it. I hope you guys can as well. If not, did you get it? Watch it first thing in the morning before any spoilers hit the online. Oh, Jam says the real Mandarin can address the Killian thing, and then maybe they can finally address AIM. Super excited to see if any of our theories pay off. Yeah, it's funny. I love theorizing, and I think it's a fun part of the thing. I know a lot of people went overboard with WandaVision, and some people got upset when things didn't turn out. So I think it's healthy and it's fun to do the theories, but you also just kind of lay back and go, oh, I was wrong, or, hey, I got that one right. So hopefully that's what everybody does now, and that we've all learned our lesson from WandaVision. Have a good evening, too. Thank you. Appreciate you coming by. I appreciate everybody who tunes in. And we will see you all. I will be back tomorrow, noon Pacific time-ish, 11:30 to noon. And I'll come on and do my review of the show. But again, I hope you all get a chance to see it before anybody dastardly spoils it for you with social media. So have a great evening, and we'll all talk soon. Good night.